Okay, welcome to the dedication of our Wings of Peace statue and the completion of our legacy wall. Our legacy wall and Wings of Peace is the first installation in the Lower Hungarian Garden. It's also the latest installation in the entire cultural garden since 1954. So I thank all the members of the Hungarian Cultural Garden Committee, the greater Hungarian community, and I particularly want to thank two people who are responsible for the commission of our Wings of Peace statue. We're very grateful to Martha Kirsch and Elizabeth Allison, daughters of Emery Kovac Smith, who commissioned the Wings of Peace statue from Ken Roby, the artist. Marta and Elizabeth, thank you very much.
And they're not Hungarian.
Yes, they are. Oh, my.
Somebody told me a lie.
Lie. Okay. Ken Roby, our blacksmith, artist, musician, and friend of the Hungarian garden. Ken's work is evident throughout the entire Hungarian garden. Ken did the initial rebuilding of our Sekeli Gate in the upper garden, our Ernie Mihai walkway, and the railings coming down to the lower garden, and also the wrought iron on the legacy wall. Ken has been a longtime member and friend of our garden. May I introduce you to Ken.
Can't tell, can you? All right. Well, thanks for coming. I'm actually going to read because I can't remember anything anymore, so I wrote it all down. You like that? Okay, sounds good. So before it rains, I know this looks really long. There's like 7 or 8 pages here, but I did a really big print so I could get through it. All right. So can I have a show of hands of how many people here are actually Hungarian? All right. I kind of figured it was about like that. I'm afraid it turns out that I have absolutely no Hungarian DNA or family history because I love it. So, but in light of that, but in keeping with the spirit of the cultural gardens, I have enjoyed a long and supportive relationship with the people of the Hungarian garden that has lasted perhaps a decade or two, I think, while we've been doing various work in the gardens and things here. I think most of the work's been in the Hungarian garden, but anyways, it's been an enjoyable and fulfilling part of my life, and that's true. My life experience, and occasionally a lot of hard work. Those railings were a pain, and I didn't want to go on the ground. Anyways, I am honored and proud to have been a part of it, especially though I am grateful for all the food that Nancy and I have had at your events. We keep trying to come. It's really good food. I've been asked to give you a brief history of this piece, so here is a brief-ish history. It's been a long time getting to this day. I dug through some of my old notes and found some of the original ideas and drawings dating from 2012. It seems there are many hoops and hurdles to jump through and over, and various committees and people who must sign off on projects in the cultural gardens. I think it is a testament to the tenacity and dedication of the members of the Hungarian Garden for seeing their vision for the legacy wall through to completion. After the first design ideas failed to fly, all puns intended, Ernie Mihai, Carolyn Daylog, and a handful of others came to the blacksmith shop a few years back and hash out some of my new ideas. If my recollections are correct, Ernie had a notion of a girl releasing a dove. The seed of the idea coming from the cover of the Hungarian booklet from the 1939 New York World's Fair, which I think you're in possession of at the moment. I had on hand a small bronze sculpture I had done a few years earlier at the Institute of Art, which is a female form emerging from perhaps the primordial ooze. Anyway, using the endangered marvels of human conversation and the tossing around of ideas, the various concepts merged into the form of this girl emerging from the flora and fauna beneath her to release a dove, peace, into the world. Most of the flowers and plant forms from which she is rising up are plants that are specific to Hungary and its traditions. Another critical part of Ernie's vision is that the garden create things that are more contemporary and that will relate to a more modern world as we move on through time and history, reflecting our age for future generations to see. This contemporary concept is obvious in the open-forged stainless design of the sculpture. The plants and vines and flowers were all individually forged by hand with forge anvil and hand hammers. The girl and the dove were made of individually shaped stainless bars and put together a piece at a time. During some of the construction, we used a plus-size mannequin, because you can't use a regular-sized one, they're not real, as a guide, building the metal frame over it, and then we broke the mannequin into pieces to remove it. For a while, there were very realistic heads, arms, legs, and body parts lying around the shop, which we all found extremely disturbing at times. The whole sculpture was then welded together as a single piece. The stainless steel was commercially sandblasted with walnut shells to create the burnished look. To install the sculpture in one piece, we adapted the forklift of our skid steer machine so it could lift her into the air and move her to the top of the stone in one movement. The sculpture was built on a wood construction platform the same size as the stone, so hopefully it would fit, on which the girl remained secured until her airborne trip across the garden. To transport her in one piece from the shop to the gardens, the entire sculpture and platform were loaded on an open flatbed trailer. We chose to wrap her in fabric so she could have some privacy on her travels. However, the flowers were still exposed and her shape was still pretty obvious. I would really love to know what the other drivers on the highway thought as she sailed across the 480 bridge. I didn't see anybody doing anything weird though, so that was good. On the day of installation last October, unlike today, the weather cleared, it stopped raining, the sun came out, and the temperature rose to comfortable levels. The short airborne hop from her wooden platform on MLK to her place in the center of the garden was uneventful. As she neared the stone and hovered above it, there was, to me, a brief symbolic moment as some members of the Hungarian garden who gathered to watch lent a hand by taking hold of her and guiding her into place on the stone. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I was sitting in my bobcat and I remember thinking, that's kind of cool. As the legacy wall was coming to its grand finish last year, we had 2020. Last year was a pretty lousy year for most of us, but nature has a way of balancing things out. Here we are a year later on this steamy, maybe rainy summer day, again gathered in the presence of other humans to dedicate the completion of the wall and the sculpture with a renewed sense of hope and being together. I am sad that Ernie Mihai is not here today and did not get to see his idea come to completion because it would have made him very happy. But his presence is palpable everywhere in this garden, and I'm quite sure he is here somewhere smiling and grateful to you all, and probably making a smart comment would be my guess too. Looking at her now, it strikes me that the desire for peace is universal. This girl, letting her dove fly free, is for all people at all times. Thank you all, and may we all truly go forward on the wings of peace.